filly yesterday. Shame winning the race. David, we'll have a look at the highlights from this. You rode Pontolas?
Yes.
Didn't have a lot of luck. You were what? Where are you? Third or fourth offence, aren't you?
Fourth on the fence.
Fourth on the fence. You seem to get an interrupted run in the straight. Shame with the white face and the cerise colours is about 6th, 7th the outside. Makes a very good run. Brackenback around her. Were you unlucky, Damien?
Yeah, I had a good run up to here, Bruce, but, you know, the run comes just for me here, but she just couldn't quicken up into it quick enough and sort of, not on Friday, got around her before she could get there. And I said to Clary after the race, I said, you know, the filly's really looking for the, you know, the 2,000 mile and a half, and you'll see here she really gets going towards the end of a race.
What was the best trial from this race, do you think?
Shame, the winner. Very, very impressed with her. She raced to me like a real stayer. She's by Scenic, same sire as the Derby winner Blevick, and I think she's a very similar type of horse. A lot of guts and a lot of bottom, and she'll keep going.
Lee, Moss Rocket. It was magnificent. Actually, Damien, this was an interesting one for you with Grand Bay. I mean, you did cause interference to Sequala. You could have cost yourself dearly, young fella.
Yeah, I don't want to see this one again.
I've seen it a few times, head on, back on.
All of that. And this looked this looked almost like sort of Scalacci, Hariba. Well, not Hariba's not Scalacci.
It's one of the best sustained performances of speed I think we've seen all year, because he did cross from the wide gate and he was very hard ridden to get over and cross Grand Bay, and yet he just had enormous acceleration when he straightened up. Very impressive horse.
I think this horse would, if our Moscow was running in the Moir Stakes next Saturday, I think this horse would beat him.
You know, I reckon Poetic King might beat Moss Rocket in the Moir. Your horse. He's got a chance, I reckon, Lee.
Definitely. Oh, he's a very good horse. I mean, we rate him a far better sprinter than Grand Bay, so he should be a lot closer. He should test the other horse.
I reckon Poetic King will beat Moss Rocket on Saturday.
That was just a remarkable performance. All you want to do now is bag it.
I don't want to bag him. I don't think it was a Scalacci win. I loved the win, but I think Poetic King will beat him.
It was a fantastic win by Moss Rocket. He finished third in the Newmarket to Hariba, and the horse that beat them both ran in the Cup yesterday.
All Our Mob. It'll go down as one of the great Newmarkets, won't it?
I fell into tipping it. You tipped Deremus in the Cup, didn't you?
Early.
Super horse.
What a butter-up.
How do you assess Moss Rocket?
I think he'll win easily. I think he'll win the Moir Stakes very easily. I think Poetic King will run a very good second.
But I mean, with some of the really top sprinters of the past, too early to say?
Well, it's a bit hard to tell because he spent most of his life in the paddock. I think he's had 2 bowed tendons and everything's gone wrong for him. But gee, that was an incredible performance.
Did he surprise you, Max?
Yes, I didn't think he was that good. It was a freak performance, but now what he's got to do is maintain that to be put on the same level as the Haribas and Scalaccis.
Yeah, it's early days.
That was a freakish performance.
The only thing I think in our favour, and certainly won't detract from the horse's performance, but it's very hard for horses to put performances like that back to back. I mean, that was a sensational performance. He ran sensational time, unofficially broke the course record. Now, for him to find that form again at his very next start can be a little tricky.
Yeah, I mean, in all preparations, horses usually have one outstanding run. That may have been it. Take a break.
Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take a break and we'll be back with the Cox Plate preview after this.
It seems to be won by the best horse of each year. You know, it's a mile and a quarter at weight for age, and it's just the classic test.
Delta Pi's won by a minute, and that's the way he might win the Melbourne Cup. Delta Pi by 6 lengths.
What a strange twist of fate.
We'll discuss the Cox Plate with the panel, but before then, Craig Willits with this preview.
Racing. Caught them pretty well. English Wonder dropped out. Lawman.
To the racing purist, the WS Cox Plate is the championship.
Kingston Town swamping them. What a run. Kingston Town wins at an extra road.
A race which sorts out the best weight for age horse in the Southern Hemisphere. Next Saturday, in a class field, there are 5 outstanding candidates. Mahogany senior owner Lloyd Williams.
I don't think there's a lot been made of the fact he's only had 1 run, but, you know, if we were in Europe, he'd probably be going into this race with no runs. Now, one of the things we have established with Mahogany, he's far better fresh.
Champion jockey Damien Oliver will ride the Bob Thompson-trained Danewin, winner last Saturday of the Caulfield Stakes.
Danewin in front of It's All in Fun, and Danewin just on a length.
Well, he's right up there with the best, the horses I've ridden. You know, he's a class horse. You know, he puts himself in the race, and you know, he's just one of those horses that stamps his authority in a race, and you know, he's obviously going to be very hard to beat.
Peter Hayes and the Hayes family have a long association with the Cox Plate, and it's a race full of memories.
Then Ming Dynasty from Shivery, Dulcify further back in the field with top.
What's one of the most endearing memories of a Cox Plate that you can come up with?
Oh, certainly Dulcify. You know, I mean, it was, I was there that day and it was just a spectacular performance. He, you know, he just won so easily.
Dulcify's won by a minute, and that's the way he might win the Melbourne Cup. Dulcify by 6 lengths to Shivery.
This year their hopes rest with the reigning Horse of the Year, Jeune.
The horse is just in great form. I guess there's a little doubt about him handling the Valley, but he did suffer quite severe interference early in that race, and it just seemed to put him off his game last year. He's galloped around there twice so far. He'll be galloping around there next Tuesday, and he seems to be handling it beautifully.
Our Maze K is the outstanding 3-year-old in the event, and for regular rider Brian York, it's been a real battle in an attempt to get down to the Cox Plate weight. Here's what he said to me at Caulfield last Saturday after the duo won the Guineas. Cox Plate, you can't ride him?
I can't ride him, no. I'm very disappointed about that, but unless you know a good surgeon that can chop off a leg, you know, I'd be happy to ride him then, but unfortunately, no, 48.5's beyond me.
It's been a week of pure hell for the popular Queensland rider, working like a man possessed in the gymnasium, eating rice and apples. His aim, to get down to 47 kilos. As of Friday, he was just 1 kilo off the target. Is it the toughest thing you've had to do in your career?
It's certainly the hardest work I've had to do, yeah. The couple of the sessions have been pretty strenuous.
What about the Cox Plate? What does it mean to a leading jockey like yourself?
Well, it's one of the ultimate races. There's probably 3 races in the country that are, you would call the ultimate. That'd be the Melbourne Cup, the Golden Slipper and the Cox Plate.
Last year's winner, Solvit, returns to the Valley next Saturday. The 7-year-old was a last start winner in New Zealand 8 days ago in the Group 3 Challenge Stakes on heavy going. It was an impressive trial.
But Solvit is still the leader with 100 metres left to go. Redding is flying down the outside, and El Cope coming with a great run. And here's Rough Habit. Solvit maybe from Rough Habit.
When it comes to the big race, there is one thing which all connections have in common: a healthy respect for each other.
In a Cox Plate, it's hard to pick one, you know, because they're all such great horses. But you'd have to say Damon at this stage looks going to be the hardest to beat. He's got the form and weight for age.
It seems to be won by the best horse of each year. You know, it's 1.25 miles at weight for age, and it's just the classic test.
Solvit's a forgotten horse. You know, he hasn't been here, you know, early in the spring and hasn't raced here. Mahogany, who has only had 1 run this year, and, you know, if he can win, it'll be an amazing achievement, you know. And Jeune, who's probably, you know, the horse of the year last year, but, you know, hasn't quite reached his full potential this year. So, you know, I think there's a lot of depth this year, and, you know, it all makes for a great race.
When you look back through the records, they say it's a 3-year-old's race, but not many 3-year-olds win it. You know, lots of 3-year-olds run places. I couldn't imagine Manicato or Vane being able to have won the Cox Plate.
Interesting from Lloyd Williams. He's right, 7 have won it in 30 years, but he mentions Vane in 69 and Manicato in 78. Maybe they couldn't have won, but the Caulfield Guineas form, we're talking about our Maze K, was very good in those years. Darrell's Joy was second to Vane in the Caulfield Guineas. He won the Cox Plate. Caraman was second to Manicato in the Caulfield Guineas. He ran third to So-Called and Family Man. So I don't agree with Lloyd on that particular point.
Bruce, with the 3-year-olds, and they do have quite a good record in the Cox Plate, but it's whether they're sprinting 3-year-olds or staying 3-year-olds. I mean, Red Anchor and the likes of that.
Rajah Saab was brilliant. Star Affair was brilliant. They were brilliant 3-year-olds, more than staying 3-year-olds, in my opinion.
I think the point, Peter Hayes said that the best horse wins the Cox Plate. I'd just like to say the best stayer wins the Cox Plate.
Well, Ray, you've done a market for us. You've got Damon clearly on top.
Well, he's the established 2,000-metre horse. There's no worries whatsoever about him running the trip. No worries about him handling Moonee Valley, because he ran 4th last year when Jackie Chahay was about 6 wide all the way. And he's in form, and he has been trained for the 1 race. So I think he's a clear favourite. Our Maze K will have a lot of support because he's one of the most popular little horses I've seen for a long, long time.
What about the track, Lee and Damien? Tell us, will Moonee Valley be shifting? Will it be different?
Well, I think it'll obviously have been improved from when they raced there a month ago. So I think we can expect probably a better surface as far as firm track horses go.
But will it be equivalent to a dead track at Flemington, Damien, or something like that?
It's hard to say, you know. Unfortunately, we've only had the one meeting there, so we're still going in, you know, relatively blind to it, I suppose. But you know, the way it raced the other day, it did tend to suit horses that sort of handled dead tracks. But riding on the track itself, you know, the horses didn't have any trouble slipping or anything. They had a good firm grip on the ground, and you know, I think it'll definitely be an improved track from when we last raced there.
Do you think Dane Wynn will improve from his Caulfield Stakes win, Damien?
Probably, he's got a bit of improvement in him, I think, Keith. He's probably a little bit confused, I thought, the other day, because Jackie sort of hunted him out of the gates in the Epsom, and he ran his first half mile in something like 47. So when I jumped out and wanted to settle on him, he wanted to go a little bit hard. So I think in that respect he'll relax a lot better, and I think he'll probably, you know, he'll finish the race off better too.
They normally do go hard in the Cox Plate, don't they? I mean, Solvit and now Maysco are likely to go out quickly.
That'll suit Damien's horse, because that's the beautiful part about him. You can position him anywhere. And he's got that very, very fast sprint. I don't know how big it was yesterday, Lee, but your daughter over there, Emma, who was 7, is rolling around in a pack of $50 notes at the moment.
Well, very dangerous to have $50 around here.
Lee, only got the ones.
The 7-to-1, Mahogany, I noticed you put your glasses on a moment ago to have a look at the 7-to-1. You were out there this morning. Jim Wilson from 7 Nightly News was there in the rain. These are pictures from Flemington this morning. I think he'll win the Cox Plate. I just think that everything's going to fall into place for him.
Very pleased with him. I guess over the last couple of seasons there's been a bit of a doubt on whether the horse can stay. I don't think that's been entirely fair on the horse, because he had problems at that time. He had a chronic sacroiliac back problem, and he's doing everything now like a sound horse. So I think until we try him sound over distance, you can't really judge him.
Let's get some tips. Keith?
I think that Dane will win, and Jearn the sleeper.
Max?
Alas, I see it exactly the same way.
Dane Wynn to win from Jearn. Well, the trainers allowed a tip, they are, aren't they? Jockeys can't, of course.
Mahogany from Jearn.
Who do you think, Damien? Oh, no, you're not allowed to tip, that's right.
Who's the hardest to beat?
It is a ridiculous thing, isn't it? I mean, jockeys do tip, and they
Keith
don't...
brings me up on his radio show every week for tips.
Yeah. I've dropped off lately, they've been unsuccessful.
Right?
I think Dane will win in a very, very good finish, but I think Dane will win, and I think A.L. Maysco will run in the placings, because he's such a great 3-year-old, and yeah, I agree, Jearn will run a big race and become favourite for the Melbourne Cup.
Go on, Terry, you're a winning owner. Give us your selection.
Well, I really like the 2 3-year-olds, Bruce, both Octagonal and our Maysco, so I really think they'll fight the race out.
In that footage from the track this morning, no sighting of Damien there, Bruce.
Well, he doesn't ride Mahogany. Why should he be there, Keith?
Well, I was just wondering where he was at that time of the day after the celebrations.
Well, where were you? Like, where were you at that time?
Holding his hand.
Not in the rain, Keith. Can't the winner's grin. It was a great day for Lee Freedman and for Damien and also for Terry.
Thanks, Bruce.
A remarkable achievement. And Cox Plate Day, it is one, isn't it? It's the big one.
Fantastic. And this one with the inbuilt contest, youth and age. Age always wins out.
We'll be back next week with the panel. I hope we've helped you tip a winner next Saturday. A break, back with more after this.
I'm slowly starting to find a few little things that I know Jeff Benny can do. You know, there's not much there yet, but it's slowly coming in.